Ciao, my loves. This is Gemma with Drawing Down the Stars, and this is your reading for the 8th month, Octem or Octo, in the lunar solar calendar. This month begins on the new moon, October 2nd, and will carry through until October 31st. Now, there's a few impactful things that are uncovering in this month. First, we begin this month with an annular solar eclipse. Second, this lunation occurs with 4 planets conjunct. We have the sun, the moon, of course, because it is a new moon, Mercury, and the south node, Ketu, all in the sign of Virgo. In addition to that, the 8th month in the festivities marks the point or begins with trust, faithfulness, commitment. There's also correlations. We have the opening of Mundus, or the gates to the underworld, symbolic in honoring the goddess Ceres, or the goddess of the grain. We also have honoring of the source, wells and springs. We see this direct correlation not only with Virgo, but it is indicative of essentially honoring the passage of that source. And then lastly, we end this month around mid-month with a festival that was to purify the arms or weapons. It was in honor of Mars. Essentially, it is honoring how we create and carve through our world, how we conquer. It is the passage or the ending of the time of war or the time of trying to conquer new lands. It is essentially, this month marks a period in which we have merged the past and the present to bring forward the future. It is a healing month. There's also a celebration with wine, of bringing the old wine with new wine and merging them together. And this is, it's called Mediterralia, which is essentially drinking of old wine, merging with new wine. It is the passage of healing. And we also see that in the sign of Virgo. So let's dive in. And as always, I have outlaid in a Notion page all of the festivals, all of the key dates, and everything pertinent to this month, the 8th month. And you can find that link in the description below. All right, so the moon is in Hasta, and so is the sun. This is the 13th lunar mansion, which is ruled by the moon. So we have the moon in her own lunar mansion in the sign of Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Now, Hasta has a key aspect, especially when we're looking at the moon's placement that begins this month. Hasta represents the hand, but within the hand, this shows the 5 elements. It's a connection to the finer forces. And the real symbolic meaning of the hand, it goes very deep. So we're going to break that down. It is the universal within the singular. So it is the understanding how Hasta gives us self-reliance and control of the outgoing cosmic energy and the incoming creative forces. It essentially symbolizes how we hold, how we manifest. And during this 8th month, we merge the new and the old. We purify our defenses, our arms, and we open the gate to the underworld. We honor commitment and what is given to us. The moon in Hasta begins this month in her own sign, as I had mentioned. This emphasizes the abilities within. It emphasizes what is unseen, the illusion. And it also is going to show us how we delude ourselves with our own illusions. The soul's inclination here is to create. Remember, this is on an annular solar eclipse. So not only do we start this month of purification and healing and merging the old and the new, but we also begin it with a transformative energy and force because of the eclipse. This lunar mansion is connected to the other world, and it has aspects that allow us to regenerate from within. It indicates transformation that lives within our own ability. It implies that the individual to change and to take a new form. This is really going to be even more emphasized, especially I want to point out if you have Mercury, the sun, or the moon in this lunar mansion, and or if your rising sign is in Leo or Cancer, because every eclipse is going to impact Leos and Cancerians in a different way because of your rulers. So the sun and the moon are always involved in the eclipses. So if those are your positions, really dig deep, because the transformation that lives within you is going to really pry on multiple levels. This is going to impel each individual to change and take new form. It's the hasta, the hand, and the symbolism with here is connected to the alchemist. It symbolizes being able to manifest all the elements within other forms, manifest the finer forces. And in Ayurvedically speaking, in the Vedas, when we talk about the finer forces, we're talking about prana or life force and the tattvas, right? The elements that are in the subtle forms, not the physical form, but their qualities and characteristics. So it's understanding the quality and the characteristics or the natures that you have within your own hand. It's going to impel everybody to take and symbolize that which you hold, that which you build, that which you form, and that which you charge for, not like charge forward. Now let's look at the forces and the planets that are affecting this position, because as I mentioned, there's Mercury and the South Node that are joining the Sun and the Moon in this position. Not only that, but we have Saturn retrograde, which is 6 positions from here. So 6 houses away, we also have another emphasis of a Dharma that is going to retrograde, that is retrograding backwards. It essentially is saying, okay, we're going to shift the old framework. It's time to be innovative, and we're going to innovate from Dharma. So let's look at these finer forces. This position is how to work with it, especially during this month, the 8th month of transformation. This month is about healing and connecting to the underworld, or that which nourishes you. When I talk about the underworld, it's also the unseen, but esoterically, it's that which we rise from, that which nourishes us. Does the soil not nourish the plant? That which nourishes us, and that begins on an annular eclipse. So we're going to look and see, okay, we have this moving backwards in order to move forward, and undoing in order to reform. We have 4 luminaries in the sign of Virgo. We're connecting into healing into the underworld. And then we have the moon exemplified in her position. It's on this solar eclipse that a reformation will reorganize your efforts and abilities. It will bring forward a realization of your own abilities and your own organization, your own realization of who you are and what lies within you. This is a space in which transcendence beyond desires or gain from your own efforts. Let me emphasize that. It is very easy in this position to focus on, look at how far I've come, look what I have done, look at how I've built myself up, look at what I'm capable of. However, take a step back if that is the mind going there, because it's going to indicate that the ego take a step back and realize what lies within you is not so much on your own efforts, not made from your own hand. It's going to ask that there's an acknowledgement of that which lies within you that you have been able to bring forward through your efforts. So motivations will shift. This month will affect the 3D and the 4D. What does that mean? It means what you hold to be true, how you built it, what you're going to build, or what you intend. That which is in manifestation, that which is in form, 3D, and that which you envision, which is in a higher realm, 4D, that which you intend. There's a grasping nature, and I'm referring to this in connection with the ego to desire or motivation. The Sun, the Moon, Mercury, and the South Node is in a connection from ego to desire, or this conjunction is across from Rahu in Pisces. All right, so when we have these 4 planets directly across from the North Node, which rules desire and motivation, this incarnation in Pisces, which also represents the other world or the dissolution. So we see this correlation of dissolving that which you are normally motivated by, dissolving your desires and your own efforts to realize that there is a reformatting of your perspective, and there will be a reformatting of your efforts and motivation. What was and what will be are all laid within you, but it's not always because of you. So there lives in this position the healing gem, the soma, the eternal, the everlasting. Not in a space of past or future, but here in the present. Honor the ground in which you rise from. Honor the past that has framed your present. Lay to rest your battles and awaken the vision and the fortitude, the potential to unite what was in 3D, what is, and what lives in vision. The luminaries here, and when I say luminaries, I mean the planets. The luminaries here will show an understanding of your capacity. And for many, a new self-awareness emerges. Be mindful of ignorance, especially in the form of know-it-all, or stubbornness in the form of clinging to the past, or that's how it's done, that's how I've always done, this is what I've accomplished, this is where I've come from. That is a stubbornness of ignorance. This is where we lay to rest, and we utilize this 8th month, especially on an annular eclipse, to eclipse out what we have known, and not to so much give all the accolades to your own efforts, but to know that which you hold in your hand, these 5 elements, are not because of you, but laid within you. So too, you have to purify and wash your weapons. Wash away the ways that you have carved your foundations. Tap into the source and drink from what was and toast to what you are choosing to be. The sun in this position is a very spiritual point. It is going to reflect the destiny of the individuated soul. It'll highlight efforts. Now, the way that you process those efforts are going to be indicative of where the mind lives. And this is why I keep pointing out, lift yourself above the ego of what you have attained and start to set yourself on a higher point of what is unfolding. It will highlight efforts that will reflect destiny. It will highlight efforts and ask you to lay what was to rest. What you thought you would have laid to rest. Some of you, it might be the past where you're trying to quickly move on. There might be some self-association. Those two have to be laid to rest, because what you thought was forgotten is still alive. Now let's break this down in multiple ways. What you forget about what lives within you, whether it be a forgotten aspiration, is still alive. It's buried, but it's not gone. What you wanted to forget is still alive because it has brought you here. So in this action, and we recognize in these festivals, especially from ancient time that are connected to the stars, that we unite what was to what is to be. And there is the healing in that. Hasta, this lunar mansion, represents the 12 emanations of the wheel and the forces of manifestation. This is directly correlated or corresponded to the zodiacal wheel. What that means is that you hold within your hand all of the forces of the universe. All the abilities you need are harnessed within you, but they can only be harnessed through an open mind and an open heart. What lives within each one of us is not ours, but it is given to us. So ego must be sublimated in order for latent faculties to bloom. Go into the other world. Open those gates. Discipline the mind and service, just as the Virgo nature is. It serves a higher order that nourishes the new becoming. It services wealth and well-being. It almost turns a blind eye to the wound and just serves what needs to be done. So it is in this nature that we unite the inward and the outward, the strength and the weakness. And this is where you bring forward the nourishment, and this is where commitment is key. This is why on this 8th month, the honor or the goddess Fides, trust, commitment, faithfulness begins this month. It requires commitment. Okay, inspiration. It's very easy to be inspired and lofty and daydreamy. And, if you've listened to many of my other readings, you'll know that I encourage daydreams. However, in this position, the mind and the daydreaminess can lead you astray. It's because there's this connection to desire still. What is, and this connection to the worldly is still very influential at this position. Now, don't get distracted by the inspiration. Don't get taken away by the daydreams. In this regard, it's going to ask you to focus your mind. Focus on higher forms. That means what is being served, how is it being served, and what is the nature of that service, both within you as the individual and that which you aspire to. Inspiration, when it is connected to motivations, i.e. desires, pleasure, or artha, gain, financial gain, all of these things is not bad, but in this position, it's not what is going to be the highest emanation. There is that connection to these desires, and this is where the commitment and the focus of the mind is going to really challenge and move you into that higher form. So it is a point where you can say, what is being served? How am I serving it? What is the nature of myself in that service? We also see this Virgo nature in here. It's going to ask that you relinquish control, pessimism, gotta go, judgment, throw it out. Words are exceptionally strong during this month. Do not curse your blessings with laziness, apathy, or even criticism. Do not curse the blessings of another with laziness or with criticism or judgment, pessimism. Because if you hold in your hand the entire universe, if the words are power and you have an ability for reformation, because this is the aspect within our current evolutionary cycle where the next cycle must begin, and it is based off the impetus of the soul. If within you hold the entire universe, you must mind how you command that. The soul seeks to regenerate a new cycle. Transformation must follow the higher order. And remember, the universe lives within you. Within your very hand, you hold all that needs to be to create all there is and more. That's it. Sending you lots of love. Again, all the links you need to support this reading will be in the description below on Notion. Tanti tanti baci, my loves. Lots of kisses. Ciao.